the concept of inflation. We know what is inflation. Inflation may be defined in different ways. One of the common explanation for inflation is a persistent increase in the level of prices during a particular period of time. A persistent increase in the level of prices during a particular period of time is what is known as inflation. But the level of prices, what do you mean by level of price? Level of price means not one or two commodity prices. Prices of almost all commodity. Level. You take the level of price, average of the price, that is called the level. Not the price of one or two commodity for 1 or 2 days. That cannot be considered as inflation. Consecutively for a time period, persistently when average level of prices, almost all commodities price, when you are calculating the average of the prices, there is a increase. Persistent rise in the general level of prices, a result of what is called inflation. Another explanation for inflation is that in 90% of cases, the cause for inflation is too much quantity of money circulating in the economy. In 90% of cases we find when too much quantity of money is circulating in the economy, it may cause to inflation. Therefore, inflation is defined as too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services. Too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services in the economy, resulting hike in the price level. Resulting hike in the price level is what is called inflation. That is, when too much quantity of money chasing too few goods and services in the economy, the resulting hike in the general level of prices is what is known as inflation. The root cause for inflation is what? Too much quantity of money circulating in the economy. From where this money is coming? Maybe counterfeiting money, black money, illegal money, or we may say the hawala money, illegal foreign transaction, hawala money. It can be due to the illegal foreign transaction, secret ways, transactions may be there, or counterfeiting money may be circulating, black money may be circulating. Too much quantity of money circulating in the economy, and we have sufficient too much quantity of money with our possession. We are going to the market with the money to buy goods and services, but the available goods and services is insufficient to satisfy our demand. The goods and services available in the market is only too little a quantity, whereas too much quantity of money with which we go in the market and demand commodity, no commodity is available. Insufficient commodity according to the demand. Since we have too much money, we are going to the market and demanding this thing and that thing. No money, no commodity available, resulting rise in the general level of prices is what is known as inflation. If you take a long period, in one country's long period economic activity you are taking, for example, 2000, year 2002, year 2015. Suppose year 2000 to year 2015, 15 years time period you are taking, and you are recording in a graph the income flow, output flow, the general economic condition of a country is plotted in a graph for the long 15 years period of time. Sometimes you find the aggregate economic activity, income, production and all these things will increase, show a tendency to rise. After some times, the aggregate economic activity may come down. Again, it may go up. again it may come down. In this manner, there will be wave-like movement in the aggregate economic activity during a long period of time. During a long period of time, if you are taking income, production and other economic variables are not straight away going up or not straight away coming down. There can be cyclical movement. Wave-like movement. There will be upswings and downswing. During some period, upswing. During other, downswing. In this very sequence, upswings and downswing, in a systematic manner will flow. Such a wave-like movement in the aggregate economic activity during a long period of time is what is known as trade cycle. Trade cycle or business cycle. Such a wave-like movement in the aggregate economic activity over a long period of time is what is known as business cycle or trade cycle, an inherent characteristic feature of all economies. It is not only an underdeveloped country or to a developing country like India or advanced country, everywhere. This is a common phenomenon, cyclical fluctuation in the aggregate economic activity known as trade cycle or business cycle. About one cycle, this is one cycle. One upswing and a downswing, if you take together, it is one cycle. Thus, after the completion of one cycle, we find another cycle. Again, another cycle. About one cycle is consisting of one upswing and one downswing. In this manner, in the very same sequence, upswings and downswing will follow inherent characteristic feature of all economies known as business cycle or trade cycle. So when you take one cycle, this is one cycle. This is one cycle. The amplitude of each cycle may vary from one cycle to the other. Amplitude, this is first cycle, second very short, third is another shape. Suppose the amplitude of each cycle may differ from one cycle to the other. It need not be the same. In the very same manner, it need not go. Here amplitude is same. You find the amplitude of each cycle may differ in length. One cycle we have taken here, one cycle, in the same manner it will repeat. Suppose this is a normal line we are taking, normal line. One cycle is divided into 4 phases, PHACS. When you take a normal line, one cycle will be divided into 4 phases, PHACS. When the economy is at the lowest level, it is going up from a very lower level of economic activity. This is called revival phase. Revival phase. That means when the economy from the very lower level, due to government policies and Reserve Bank of India policy, it may revive. The economy may revive from very lower level to elapsing. That starting point of going up from very lower level is what is known as revival. That revival is because of the monetary policy of the Reserve Bank of India or fiscal policy of Government of India. For example, now we are facing a revival situation. Because of the downtrend in India, Reserve Bank of India monetary policy already introduced, cutting the repo rate and all this, and so also the other, namely taxation policy also we have started, a cut in the corporate tax and such things, as a result of which we are reviving the economy. From the lower level, it is reviving. Our intention is to revive the economy, for which monetary policy as well as the fiscal policy we are now using. Because of the government effort and the central bank effort, the economy may revive in the first phase. After that, revival will lead to expansionary phase. ഇത് എക്സ്പാൻഷനാണ്. Expansionary phase. Expansion. Revival will go to expansion. High speed, the economy will improve. And after touching a ceiling level, maximum development, the economy will show a tendency of downtrend. It will show a tendency of downtrend which is known as recession. R-E-C-E-S-S-I-O-N, recession. After touching the ceiling, the economy may come down. The downtrend is what is known as recessionary trend, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ recession phase. Recession phase. That recession, if it is continued, will lead to a contractionary phase. Contraction. Revival, expansion, recession, contraction. In this very same sequence, one phase, one cycle after the other will be repeated. These are the 4 phases of a trade cycle. 4 phases of a trade cycle are in this sequence. ഇതേ സീക്വൻസിൽ തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും. റിവൈവൽ, എക്സ്പാൻഷൻ, റിസഷൻ, കൺട്രാക്ഷൻ. 4 phases of one trade cycle. And between this expansion and the recession, there is a maximum ceiling level of development. We call that as boom condition. Boom, B-O-O-M, boom, where the economy is touching its ceiling level of expansion. That ceiling level of expansion is what is known as boom. അതുപോലെ the economy recession, contraction will come down to a floor level, trough level. Trough level. Our lowest level of contraction is floor level, trough level. That is a trough level, and the ceiling level is the boom level. That is not included in the phase. That is not included in the phase. Phase we see only revival, expansion, recession, contraction. In the very same sequence, the economy will move from one cycle to the other in the very same manner. One recession will be followed by expansion. Expansion will follow to recession. Recession will lead to contraction. In this manner, upswings and downswings, a common phenomenon in every economy, which is known as the trade cycle or business cycle. One cycle is consisting with these 4 phases in the very same sequence. Then, a slight inflation is always better than a slight deflation. We prefer a slight inflation rather than a slight deflation. During the deflation period, you see that the general level of prices will come down. General level of prices will come down. Cost of living will decrease. Laymen are satisfied. Laymen appreciate the situation of decreasing price because their cost of living is decreasing. They can purchase whatever they want at lower prices. They are all satisfied. But as far as economists are concerned, we prefer a slight inflation better than a slight deflation. If there is such a statement, that statement is true. A slight inflation is better than a slight deflation. Why? Because suppose there is inflation. There is inflation. What is the symptom of inflation? General level of prices in the increasing rate. That means price level increase in the economy. Increasing price level, the symptom of inflation. So when there is an inflation, general prices of almost all commodities are going up. That increase in the general level of prices in the economy will give better profit. Profit of the producers will increase. Since the commodity prices in general is going up, they are able to make good profit. When they are getting good profit, a optimistic mentality is created in the investor's mind. They are optimistic. Since their profit is going on increasing, they may have an optimistic approach. So that in order to make more and more profit, new investment they may make. They will expand the existing industry. Brown investment will increase. They will also start new investment, green investment as well as brown investment will increase. And so as a result of the rising profit, investment in the economy may increase. New industries are started and the existing industries are expanded. Investment is increased. When new industries are started and expansion is going on, employment opportunities in the country will increase. Employment opportunities in the country will increase. Possibility of increasing employment opportunities. Possibility of increasing employment opportunity. That means unemployment will decrease. More employment opportunity is created means what? Unemployment is decreasing. Therefore, if there is unemployment existing in a country, creation of a mild inflation is the cure. Creating a mild inflation by which it is possible to create some employment opportunity and we can reduce unemployment. A slight inflation will create more employment opportunity and hence unemployment will decrease. Statement correct. Our unemployment will increase and new employment opportunity created in the economy. As persons are getting employed now, unemployed persons are now getting employed, they are getting salary. Income of the people in the country is increasing. Even many new persons are getting salary, income they are getting. And we know that especially during the first few months, when you get the first salary, the entire salary will come in the market. It's a nature. When you get employment, the first few months salary may be completely utilized for purchasing goods and services. And as a result of which, demand for commodities in the market will increase. Demand for commodities in the market will increase. That increase in the demand for commodities in the market will result into further increase in second round, increase in the price level. Second round, again the price will go up. Second round, prices will go up. Inflation will also increase, followed by the chain relation. Followed by the chain relation in the very same order. And so that if nothing is done, it will go on increasing, hitting the ceiling, and even beyond that ceiling level, it may go up. That is very dangerous. That is very dangerous, and so we may say the policy measures, packages we have to introduce not to increase the price level very high a level. A mild inflation is what is recommended. A very small rate, mild inflation is appreciable because it can create more employment opportunities, especially if there is unemployment is existing. A mild inflation is better. Better than what? A mild deflation. Why? About deflation. Deflation just opposite ആണ്. അല്ലേ? About deflation. Let us assume the price level, average level of price was 5%. 6 months before, let us assume 6 months before, the price level, average price level of commodities in the country was 5%. And because of the monetary policy measures of the Reserve Bank of India and Government of India, it is reduced in subsequent month, later. Subsequent month reduced to 4%. From 5%, the inflation rate came down to 4%. Is it deflation? Deflation is opposite of inflation. Deflation is opposite of inflation. From 5% rate of inflation, we find that inflation came down to 4%. Is it deflation? No. It is not deflation. The severity of inflation reduced, that's all. From 5% level of inflation, the difficulty, the inflationary price reduced, the severity of inflation reduced from 5% to 4%. It is not deflation. Again, suppose in the next month, further 3% it is reduced to 3% because of government effort. Further again, it is reduced to 2%. Is it deflation? No. 2% means 2% inflation. At a very mild level, 2% inflation continues. At a level lower, 1%, next month 1%. That is also not deflation. That is only decrease in the difficulty or decrease in the intensity of inflation. Next month, no, 0%. No increase, no decrease. After that, next month, -1, inflation turns negative. That negative inflation is called deflation. Our -1, -2, -3. After 0, suppose the inflation rate is turning negative. That negative inflation is what is called deflation. If nothing is done, the deflation may become very severe. Very severe, it may go down and down, resulting to, we may say, depression, crisis. It may lead to depression or crisis situation in the country. Only when inflation turns negative, minus inflation is known as deflation statement. Minus inflation is known as deflation, correct. When the average level of prices is going on decreasing, it is not deflation, it is known as disinflation. Disinflation. So disinflation means what? Reducing inflationary pressure, while inflation continues in positive level. Inflation is continuing in positive, but the trend of decrease. Decreasing positive inflation. Decreasing positive inflation is known as disinflation, and when inflation or disinflation turns negative, inflation or disinflation turns negative, deflation starts. So negative inflation is what is called deflation, and the deflation turns crisis when it becomes too deeper, minus. Suppose such a deflation and depression is causing to the economy, so that the profit of the producers is sharply decreasing. Existing investment will be closed down. One industry after the other may be closed down. For example, at the last 2008-9 crisis period in USA, even banking industries were closed. Many of the industries were closed, and as a result of which unemployment set into. Employment opportunities stopped, and from the industries, persons were thrown out. It may result to unemployment in the economy, income reducing, demand for commodity reducing, and the chain action continuously in the second, third stages will be followed. And the thing is that the downtrend will be more speedier than it counter upward movement. The downtrend of the economy will be more speedier than its counter upward movement. Upward movement, inflation. upward movement inflation ആണ്. That inflation rate may be going up in a slower manner compared to deflation. Once the deflation starts, you find the economy may be taking to a very lower crisis level within a short span of time. Once the economy show a downtrend, the downtrend quickly it may come down to the floor unless action is taken. The counterpart of inflation will be more speedier and severe, and so that when the downturn comes, monetary policy measures we have to adopt. Otherwise, in a quicker manner, very quickly, this economy will turn to depression. That is what we face today in our country. Our GDP growth rate turned, we may say, down during the last year, and it is below 5%. From 8%, it has come down. When the downtrend started, monetary packages, RBI introduced monetary packages, and government have also introduced monetary packages. In your syllabus, there is a topic given, current monetary and fiscal problems and packages, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ solutions by government. That monetary policy and fiscal policy measures adopted by government in the current downturn. What are the measures adopted by government? What are the measures adopted by government to withstand the downtrend in the Indian economy at present? A short note I will give you for that purpose.